This right here is the Sequre Flyson 10. This is a 10-inch 8S long-range bind and fly FPV drone that you can buy straight off the shelf for doing mountain surfing or long-range FPV. I've had this guy for just over 2 months now. I actually had Sequre reach out and ask me if I wanted to review anything from their website. I took a look, and to be honest, there wasn't too much I was really interested in, but I did actually spot this guy in their bind and fly section. And so I said to them, as a person who was mostly interested in long-range FPV and bigger quads in general, if they'd be willing to send this out. And kindly enough, they were. And so in early February, this guy arrived, and since then I've been doing loads of in-depth testing to see just exactly how this thing performs as a long-range 8S mountain surfer, which is something a bit different. As always, when it comes to my reviews, there are absolutely no half measures, so you can be rest assured that I have thoroughly tested this thing. I sent this guy out over 15 kilometers from home. I took it on a 37-minute endurance flight where we achieved a total flight distance of around 40 kilometers. We sent it on a 10-kilometer from home trip out over water to an island just to see how this guy would perform in coastal environments. And as always, we tested out a huge range of battery setups, both with LiPos and Lions, to find out what the perfect pack size was for the Flyson 10 and exactly how long it would fly with different setups. So to give you a quick overview of the quad, as you can see, the frame adopts a true X design. To be honest, when this thing arrived, I actually was a bit dubious of it. As I looked at it, and it kind of looks very similar to your typical AliExpress 10-inch frames in terms of the frame having what looked like rather thin arms and not the best looking frame design. However, I was pleasantly surprised to find that this thing is actually incredibly robust and solid. It has 7mm thick arms, and as you can see, these outer supporting arms that are around 3mm, and these keep the frame really solid despite what it looks like. I know a lot of you might look at this thing and go, well, that looks a bit sort of strange, the kind of true X design with the supporting arms, but I will say this frame is actually really solid. It comes with really high quality chamfered carbon, which is not what I was expecting, to be honest. As always, I'm very appreciative of this big large top plate, which is something that we don't see too often in long range frames other than the likes of the Pulsar. So this is great, as you are able to then accommodate the larger packs, no problem. I was able to fit 8S2P onto the top plate with no worries. I was also able to fit an 8S 5000 and 6000 LiPo, no problem whatsoever. And I do actually have a couple of 8S 10,000 LiPos on the way from another company that we're going to be checking out in a future video, just doing some comparisons and some test flights with. If you do get the 6S version of this quad, because there is a 6S version as well, you could easily run 6S3P on the top plate, no problem whatsoever. Now, as you can see on the bottom of the frame here, there is actually 2 strap holes for if you want a bottom mount, which is a nice feature as well, and you can do that no problem. And later in the video, you're going to see I actually rigged this thing up with 8S4P, which is 20,000 milliamps of capacity for anyone wondering. That is 4 8S 5000s, which is around 2.6 kilos of battery setup. And what you're going to see later in the video was this thing was able to carry that with no problem. It literally hovered at 35% throttle, which is absolutely nuts. So this is an absolute beast of a quad in terms of power, and that is something that has stood out very much so on this quad. So in terms of its components, for motors, this thing is rocking 3115 680 kV for 8S. If you buy the 6S version, there'll be 3115s at 900 kV, which is a nice sort of efficient motor setup for a 10-inch. Quite a big stator, obviously, and so you do get a lot more thrust with this, and this is very noticeable. On 8S, this thing hovers at only 17% throttle, which is absolutely nuts. I had a 5000 milliamp LiPo on this quad, weighing around 800 grams. I then put an 8S2P Lion on the quad, and it also hovered at 22% throttle, which I thought was absolutely nuts. That's 1.3 kilos of battery setup, and the thing is seemingly not phased by it whatsoever. This is obviously the advantage of running 8S. With 8S, you get a hell of a lot more power than 6S with that higher voltage, and as such, you do get the avail of a much lower hover throttle, a much lower cruise throttle, and basically more power overall at the lower end. Now, 8S won't give you more top-end speed, but what it will give you is a lot more low-end torque, kind of like diesel versus petrol to a degree with cars. And as you know, when you go up in voltage, you actually pull less amps, so it's actually much easier on your batteries. Even though there's a little bit more weight in an 8S pack with 2 extra cells, you're obviously pulling a lot less current with the higher voltage, and as such you do get the avail of slightly longer flight times despite the slightly heavier weight. Moving on to the flight stack, this thing is rocking Secure's own 8770 amp AM32 stack. You might have noticed in my last video I did say about how I didn't really trust AM32 on larger builds. However, I will note that video was recorded before Alka from AM32 had introduced ramp-up power, which is the biggest reason I hadn't ran it on larger quads before, because before this update, the default ramp-up power for AM32 was way too high. It was basically set for 5-inch levels, and so when you ran this on a larger quad, you would have got desyncs. However, as of the latest version of AM32, that is no longer the case, and we do now have the ability to adjust that. And as such, I've been flying this thing on AM32 for the past 2 months now, and it's been flying absolutely no problem at all. So my opinion on AM32 there has actually changed. I would actually say if you want to pick up a stack with AM32, there is no problem in doing that, having done a lot more testing with it now. As far as the of VTX, the quad is then of course running DJI O4 Pro. As you can see up the front here, it is TPU mounted, and that has actually been perfect for me. As you know, TPU can be a bit hit and miss when it comes to mounting with O4 Pro. However, with the Flyson 10, that has not been an issue whatsoever in terms of jello or any vibrations in the footage, and the footage has been absolutely buttery smooth, no problems there whatsoever. So that's actually probably testimony to how well tuned this quad is, which I'm going to talk on in just a bit later. In terms of receiver systems, I'm rocking Express RS 2.4. Built as a diversity receiver, we have, as you can see here, our T antenna mounted up front and our second antenna on the side. Now what you will notice is I've actually changed the orientation of this antenna. The way this quad was shipped to me, they had mounted the second antenna horizontally on the side, which actually isn't ideal because it's basically pointing a null zone back towards you. So I actually have fed this back to Sequre. I've told them that they'd be better implementing a vertical mount here. So what I did quickly just to fix this was literally take the antenna out of the mount and just twist it vertically so it's sitting vertically on the side. Now you may be saying, well, surely that's going to be blocked by the carbon and stuff, and it probably is to a degree. However, as I said earlier in the video, I've sent this thing out 10 kilometers from home, 15 kilometers from home, and had absolutely no problems whatsoever. I was sitting at 100% link quality whilst being out 15 kilometers from home. So that's enough of an overview. Let's take the thing out into the field and see how it flies. So the first spot we took the Flyson out to was a set of coastal cliffs overlooking a remote island, and I'm actually going to be publishing this as a separate video where I send the Flyson 10 out 10 kilometers from home to a remote island all the way over the sea and back again. So I'll be publishing this as a separate clip so you can see this full flight in its entirety. But in the meantime, we'll take a look at how the Flyson performed for just general cinematic FPV flying. I've flown it with just the DJI O4 Pro and an 8S 1P 5000 mAh Lion, and we took it out over the sea, as you can see here, just doing some typical cinematic FPV flying on a somewhat windy day. And as you can see, the quad flew absolutely smooth as butter and got some pretty incredible shots, and was actually pretty agile for its size, which you'll be able to see here. So a lot of these are probably going, Ben, why are you making another video on a long range drone when you've already said the Pulsar is the best for long range and the Mario 8 is good if you haven't already got into it? Well, those facts still remain. I still would say overall the Pulsar 9 is my favorite long range quad. But what you have to remember is both the Pulsar 9 and the Mario 8 you cannot buy as a pre-built bind and fly. The Sequre Flyson 10 is the first bind and fly 10-inch quad that I would actually recommend buying. As you all know, there was the iFlight Helion, but it was riddled with issues in terms of jello and camera mounting. So along with flight performance, that was something I tested straight away when I got the Flyson 10. The O4 Pro footage out of this thing is absolutely buttery smooth. You have zero issues with jello, and the thing flies incredibly well. In terms of this thing's PID tune, out of the box the PIDs look fairly conservative. However, when I took it out for the first test flight, the thing had basically zero prop wash whatsoever. As you can see in the first flight here, I was doing prop wash tests, flying back and forward. The quad had basically zero bounce back or wobble. Now I could probably dial the PD balance in a little bit further if I wanted it to freestyle better, but this is a long range cruiser quad, so I don't really need to do that. And out of the box this thing flies really well, which as I said in the previous video is really quite hard to do when it comes to PID tuning with larger quads, especially 10-inch quads. So if you're somebody who's already flown a 5 or 7 inch and you're looking for something bigger, but you do not want to go through the building and tuning process, well, then I'm definitely going to go and recommend the Flyson 10. This is the first 10-inch bind and fly I've flown that, number one, flies really well and is actually relatively cheap in terms of price. This thing's priced at only $709 or £525 with an O4 Pro in it, which is incredibly cheap. That's like the same price as an iFlight Nazgul 5, which is incredible value given the fact an O4 Pro alone is £210. So you're getting this entire built quad for 300 quid, which is exceptionally good value for a 10-inch bind and fly. So in terms of batteries and flight time, what is the best to go for with the Flyson 10? I have been testing this quad with both 5000 and 6000 mAh LiPos. These are from China Hobbyline. So my very first flight with the Flyson 10, I flew it with a 5000 mAh 8S LiPo, and I flew it around the field for around 5 minutes, just doing some hard freestyle, seeing how it flew, testing things like prop wash, etc. And I covered a total distance of around 3.8 kilometers at this stage, and I then sent the quad out another 5 kilometers from home and back again on the same pack. And the quad was able to make it the whole way there and back again with a total flight distance of just under 15 kilometers and a flight time of around 14 minutes. So I was incredibly impressed at how efficient that thing was with a 5000 milliamp LiPo. To get nearly 15 minutes on a somewhat windy day on the very first flight of the quad after doing 5 minutes of hard freestyle with it, I thought was unbelievable. So this thing with 8S packs in general is incredibly efficient. I also have a couple of these 8S 6000 milliamp LiPos that have just arrived. Now these are a good bit heavier. You'll know from my previous video, LiPos are definitely not as good as Lions in terms of capacity to weight ratio. And for example, this 6000 milliamp 8S pack weighs 1.2 kilos versus this 5000 milliamp Lion weighs only 600 grams. So it's quite literally half the size, half the weight, for pretty much the exact same capacity. So when the Flyson 10 was on the way, I went ahead and built up a load of 8S Lions, as you can see here. These are literally just 8S 1Ps built with RS50 cells, and these have been great for getting me upwards of 15 minutes flight time as well. Something I found with 8S is you can basically double the payload capacity, and it's just unfazed in terms of weight. With an 8S 2P Lion, you can fly for upwards of 10 kilometers from home, no problem. However, I wouldn't go any further than that. When I took off with 8S 2P on the 9 kilometer sea flight, I was expecting the quad to hover at a much higher throttle percentage. However, I took off at literally 22%, so only an extra 5% to carry twice the amount of weight, which I thought was very impressive. So 8S 2P is probably the sweet spot if you want to get kind of a decent amount of flight time without loading the quad up too much. But if you're somebody who doesn't know how to build batteries yet or has not done that, don't worry, you can still go ahead and buy some 8S LiPos. The China Hobbyline 8S 5000 is probably your best bet. As I said, I was getting between 10 to 15 minutes flight time with that pack, and with that pack you will be able to achieve a total distance of around 7 kilometers from home and back, or around 14 kilometers total. That is absolutely no problem whatsoever for the Flyson 10, and based off the several test flights I've done with an 8S 5000 LiPo, that's the kind of distance you can expect. On the 15k run we did with the Flyson 10, that was with 8S 3P, so around 15,000 milliamps of capacity, and that also was no problem for the Flyson whatsoever to carry. However, it's worth noting I did have to bottom mount the third pack when I was running 3P. So in general, the best pack setup for somebody who is experienced with long range, builds their own packs, would be 8S 2P. Now, I do actually have a number of 8S LiPos arriving from a company called New Yank. They have sent out a number of 8S 6000s and 8S 10000s that they have claimed are much lighter than the competition. So in a future video, we're going to be checking them out just to see how they perform, and I'll probably upload like a raw long range flight to show you exactly how far you can fly on a LiPo with a full flight, so you can see exactly what the voltage is like at different spots, etc. Okay, so what are my overall thoughts on the Sequre Flyson 10? Well, I have to say overall I'm incredibly impressed with this thing. I actually had somewhat low expectations for it when I seen it online, but I was pleasantly surprised when it did arrive, and I got a feel of the frame, as you can see, which is super solid. And not only that, but this thing's flight performance is incredibly good for an out-of-the-box 10-inch. And I say that as somebody who has built and tuned an absolute ton of long-range quads. This is the very first one I've ever flown out of the box that basically has required zero work to get flying smooth, and that's quite impressive for a 10-inch quad, because 10-inch quads do take a lot more work than normal to get flying smooth, and it's normally a bit of a pain actually to get them flying smooth. So that was a bit of a surprise. I was expecting to have to do a bit of work to this, and I have basically had to do nothing, as you can see, even on that first flight there. Basically zero issues with prop wash, very smooth handling, no bounce back, or the typical issues that plague these kind of bigger quads. So again, if you're somebody who does not like to build drones, you just want to buy something out of the shelf and have it work, well then this is definitely going to be my recommendation for that. Now, what I will say is if you're somebody who hasn't flown long range before, I'm probably not going to recommend this drone to you. Not for any bad reason of the quad itself, but just for the fact that it's 10-inch, it's absolutely massive, and you could seriously hurt yourself or others if you do not know how to fly these things, especially flying them far away as well. So if you're somebody who hasn't yet flown a 7-inch quad or bigger, I probably wouldn't recommend this to you as your first long range quad, because it's just so big, and when things go wrong with these things, they go wrong pretty badly. However, if you're somebody who's flown long range quads before and you want to try out something bigger, then this is definitely going to be my recommendation. If you're somebody who doesn't want to build a quad and you just want something that works out of the box, this is definitely going to be top of the list. Number one, you're definitely not going to find anything cheaper. The fact that this thing is literally only £500 with an O4 Pro fully built out of the box is an incredible price for an 8S 10-inch FPV drone. That is not something I've ever seen before. As I said before, there's so many long-range frames in the market with tiny top plates that are absolutely useless if you want to mount large pack. However, Sequre have clearly thought of that with this large top plate here that accommodates packs right up to 10,000 milliamps. No problem whatsoever. Now you're probably wondering, do I go for the 6S or the 8S version? Now, and my answer to that is going to be, if you're somebody who has a load of 6S packs and you don't want to start buying new packs, well then probably just go for the 6S version. Now the main difference between 6S and 8S, if you haven't flown it before, is that 8S will give you a much lower cruise throttle and a much lower hover throttle. It doesn't give you more top end speed so much as it gives you more low end torque. So basically this thing will just hover a lot lower in the throttle and it will cruise much faster at a lower throttle percentage. So that does in some regards equate to longer flight times because you're obviously pulling less amps. 8S quads in general will pull less amps because they have more voltage, but there is obviously a weight penalty because the packs are a bit heavier with the extra 2 cells in them, you know, whether that's a LiPo or a Lion. So it kind of does balance out eventually, and if you're somebody who doesn't want to have to go through the hassle and the cost of buying new packs, and well then probably just go for the 6S version. The quad's absolutely identical, the motors are just slightly higher kV, I believe they're 900 kV, which is kind of ideal for 6S, and you can obviously fly this with 6S 2P, 3P, and even 4P no problem, and these 3115 stators. Motors will be able to carry them no problem whatsoever, so you don't need to worry about that. However, if you do want to try something new and you're somebody who doesn't mind buying a couple of new packs, or if you're somebody who builds Lions, you already know that you can build packs for very cheap anyway. So building up a couple of 8S Lions like I did, I believe I built around 5 packs for probably £150, which was incredibly cheap, versus if I bought 5 8S LiPos, that would probably be upwards of £400. So if you're somebody who builds Lions and you want to test out 8S, well then I'd say go for it. It is definitely something a bit different. It is a totally different flying experience from 6S. It's a bit strange when you take off for the first time because you'll naturally go up to probably 30 or 40% throttle if you're used to hovering with a large 6S quad. However, if you do that with this thing, you'll be straight up to the moon because this thing needs so little throttle to be able to hover, and that is what you get with 8S. However, there is one downside with 8S that I will have to mention, and that is when it comes to flying Lions, from my experience, you can't really take them down as low as you could with a 6S quad. With a 6S Lion, I'm used to landing at around 2.8 volts, and sometimes a little less than that if I'm pushing the flight time. However, in my experience with this thing and 8S Lions, when you get below 2.8 volts, the quad will rapidly start losing power, and to the point where it will start to literally drop out of the sky. And now that caught me off guard a couple of times when I was flying with this thing. I think it just comes down to the fact that this is a large quad. There's much more weight in it, and these motors require a lot more power and voltage just to keep them up in the air. So if you're flying with an 8S Lion, I'd recommend you actually come into land at around 3 volts. That just gives you a little bit more wiggle room before you hit 2.8. Because 2.8 sort of becomes 2.5 volts in my experience with 8S. However, that'll not be a problem if you go for the 6S version. You can of course take them down to 2.8 volts if you want to stretch that flight time out. But overall, there you have it. There is my full in-depth review on the Sequre Flyson 10. If you do want to pick up the Flyson 10 yourself and actually save a bit of money on it, there'll be a link in the description down below. That is my affiliate link. I'll let you know. That's a really easy way to support the channel and get you guys around $60 off the quad if you want to buy it yourself. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, drop a comment down below with any questions you have whatsoever about this thing. And if you want to see more long range content like this, be sure to drop a sub and stay tuned for the next video. I'll see you then.